actually cold up here. Okay, so usually I'm down the back, filming some videos just in the car. But hey, I'm gonna bring something else and yeah, let's see how it goes. So in today's video, I'm gonna talk about how to overcome negative feelings. So just got my brother's iPad here. I just wrote down some thoughts and just some dot points of what I'm going to talk about. So how can we overcome negative feelings and always think positive about anything? Right. So first, of course, it's going to start with this. It's going to start with a fact. All right. So first it starts with a fact, right? Something comes to us, an idea, anything, right? So what is a fact? What does a fact mean? So something that is known or definitely proved to be true. So just remember also with a fact, if your attitude is right, then facts just don't matter. Because when your attitude is right, you have a better focus on the inputs, on the possibilities and the solutions, right? This produces better outcomes. So what is attitude? So attitude is simply just a feeling, right? It is a feeling, right? Now, when your attitude is right, then your feelings are aligned. And when your feelings are aligned, your positive frequency also will align with who you are, basically with your attitude. So this basically means that you will also always think positive about that fact, whatever that fact is. All right, so with outcomes, like when we bring it back to, producing better outcomes. So what are outcomes? Outcomes result of your attitude, right? But who controls them? Who controls the outcomes of this world? We don't. I can't say I control my outcomes, right? Who do we think it is? Well, how do we know? Well, there's scriptures in the Bible, right? I suggest you start reading the Bible because there's a lot of things in there. So here I'm going to read one. It says, "He hath made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man can find out the work that God maketh from the beginning to the end." So this implies that God has already set the outcomes. Everything is already set by him. It's planned from the beginning to the end. Everything is in his timing. He chooses which he chooses. Right? He is God. So another also I've got here, another one is in Psalms 115:3. But our God is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased. Right? This also suggests that he has the highest authority, meaning he is the most high. Right? He controls all outcomes. Right, so back to the facts. So remember, the fact can be anything. It can be anything, For example, the fact, let's give an example of a fact, right? The fact that people tend to remember negative experiences more strongly than positive ones. So what we do when we think about that, right? So keep that fact in mind. Now what we do is we put a perimeter around that fact, or just a wall or a frame around that fact. So why we do this is so we can better focus on that fact. So what is a perimeter? A perimeter is none other than just a wall that surrounds that fact. right? So picture in your mind, right? So here's the fact. Now protect it by putting a perimeter around it. Why? So you focus on it better. All right, so when we focus on that fact, and remember, there's always two sides to a fact, right? So there's always, you've got the positive side of a fact, and you've got the negative side of a fact. So well, look, there's got to be two sides of everything, right? So, I mean, you look at, a piece of paper, there's two sides of that. You look at a coin, there's two sides of that, right? Anything in life, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So there is a positive and a negative of the fact, right? So once we focus on that fact, now what happens is we receive it in our, I'm just going to put it over here. So the fact then comes into our mind, we receive it into our mind, and we develop something powerful called a belief, right? So with a belief, right, belief is either a belief of faith or a belief of doubt, right? So a belief of faith being the positive aspect and a belief of doubt being the negative aspect, right? So there is a positive and a negative to belief. All right. Now when we have, because we have the fact came to our mind, now we focused on that and it came into a belief, right? Very powerful, a positive or a negative. We develop that into our mind, and when we develop that, right, now that belief is internalized within us. So it can't just stop right there, right? So once it internalizes within us, once it receives into our mind, right, it has to go somewhere else. It can't just stop there. So where does it go? Well, it travels down to our heart. All right. Now, when it travels down to our heart, what does our heart do? Now, our heart simply just gives us feelings, right? It says in Luke 6:45, right? A good man out of the good treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is good, and an evil man out of evil treasure of his heart bringeth forth that which is evil. For of the abundance of the heart his mouth speaketh. So this verse shows that the heart influences both our feelings and our actions. All right, so our heart gives us a feeling, right? So our heart gives us a feeling. Now, what is this feeling? So the feeling, once it travels down into our heart, it's either a positive aspect, right? A feeling of, I'm gonna go up here, feeling of anticipation, or, right? Or the negative aspect, which is a feeling of anxiety. So a feeling of anticipation, the positive aspect, or a feeling of anxiety, the negative aspect. So this simply shown in Matthew's 6:34. Right, so where's that? A second. 6:34. Matthew's 6:34. Oh, it's on this page. Give me a second. All right, so 6:34. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it's God's. Wait, 6. I am lost. Matthew 6:34. Oh, page turned a couple times. That was a mistake. We all make mistakes, so don't worry. All right, so Matthew 6:34. Take therefore no thought for the morrow shall take thought for the things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So this basically means, do not worry for tomorrow, because tomorrow is already planned by God. So don't be anxious. As I said before, God controls all outcomes. We can't control tomorrow. He controls tomorrow. So back to feeling, right? So what do we do with that feeling? So that feeling causes an action. And where's that action? That action is in our hands. Right? So when that action causes us to, that action goes to our hands, right? Now we act on it. And when we act on it, right, we either act with faith, so we act on faith, the positive aspect, which then produces a positive outcome, or we act with doubt. So we act on doubt, right, with a negative aspect, therefore produces a negative outcome. So there is going to be a positive and a negative, right? And so to put it in simple terms, to overcome negative feelings, we must anticipate a favorable outcome from the positive aspect, faith, right? Which this then causes us to produce the energy needed so we can act with our hands, with power, right? So the positive aspect of acting is power. So we have the power to act, or the negative aspect is powerless. We don't have the power to act. All right, so this causes us to produce energy needed to act with our hands, with power, leading to better inputs, better possibilities, and better solutions. So remember, so if we're focusing on the positive aspect of the fact, so what we do is we manufacture it into our mind, and our mind then internalizes it into a positive or a negative, right? So it is going to be faith or doubt. And look, don't be confused that doubt is not a belief, right? Faith and doubt is just the opposite of faith. Therefore, faith is a belief, doubt is now a belief, right? It's just the positive aspect and the negative aspect. Right? And then when you think of the positive aspect, it goes into our mind, we internalize it to belief, into faith. It goes to our heart, we have a feeling of anticipation, and now we act on it with power, right? Therefore, leading us to overcoming negative feelings, right? Or if we're focused on the negative fact, then it's going to come into our mind, receive into our mind, and then it's going to internalize as doubt, come into the heart. We're going to have a feeling of anxiety, and then we're going to act with our hands with powerless, meaning we cannot act. So therefore, just to sum it up with this Bible verse and how to overcome negativity, it's going to be John 13:17. Let me get that up. John 13:17. All right. It says, if ye know these things, happy are ye if you do them. So if you know these things, fact, focus on the positive aspect. So the fact, focus on the mind with the belief of the positive aspect, faith. Right, so it leads down into the heart of anticipation. Then we act with it with power. So therefore, we, if ye know these things, believe, faith, happy, heart, feeling, anticipation, happy are ye if you do them, action, power. And therefore, that is how you overcome negative feelings. All right, so hopefully that helped you. And I'm learning as well on this journey. So I don't have it down fully, but hey, look, this is just my documentation and journey towards knowing the truth about things and how to go about life. But yeah, so I'd say take this for what it is and apply it to your life. All right.